Welcome to the Unconventional Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Moses, certified financial planner, licensed realtor, and founder of Me Financial. If you're an accredited investor feeling overwhelmed by managing your portfolio and looking for alternative investment strategies that go beyond the traditional stock market, you're in the right place. Let's head into today's episode so you can start taking control of your financial future.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Thank you for listening. I am Michelle Moses, your host, and today we are going to be talking about self-directed accounts. And to talk about that, I have Michelle Thomas here, and she is with CNB Custody. And CNB Custody does self-directed accounts, and they are who I work with. And so I asked her to be on here. And she has been with CNB Custody since 2006, and she spent many years in operations before taking on a sales, marketing, and client rep relations role. She also oversees the new accounts department and plays a role in new product development. She holds a bachelor's degree in business administration with an emphasis in marketing from Kansas State University. Welcome.
Hi, good to see you, Michelle.
I know. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on. I mean, I know that we talk here and there about, all the different accounts because you guys, Michelle is the one that I contact if I'm having issues or I'm kind of assigned to her, if you will, about all my client accounts. And I think CNB Custody is amazing.
Well, thank you.
You give great customer service. There's always somebody to answer the phone, and obviously your fees are right, and we'll get into all of that. But just so you guys know, they are the main person that I use for doing my alternative investing. So anyway, let's get started just talking about what a self-directed account is, because I think people get very confused about what they are in general.
Yeah, as a self-directed custodian, we mainly do IRAs, but that is not all we do. For a long time, we did IRAs only, and you heard the term self-directed IRA all the time. About the last 8-ish years, we have had more and more demand for non-qualified accounts. So non-IRAs, accounts just to custody these alternative investments. So we do both types, IRAs and non-qualified. And really, we are here because we needed the industry needed a spot for their alternative investments, a good custodian. The IRS requires a custodian on IRA accounts. So if you wanted to hold something that wasn't being traded publicly, a piece of real estate, even a large investment, but that just wasn't on the public markets, you needed an IRA custodian. And a lot of the mainstream custodians that you use for stocks, bonds, brokerage funds won't hold these types of investments. So that's where we come into play. Michelle and I kind of talked a little bit before it started. I said self-directed IRAs is kind of a funny term because, yes, it's self-directed as far as we are a completely passive capacity. We are not fiduciaries. We're not going to tell you what to do with your investments. You're going to tell us. But that doesn't mean you have to do it by yourself. We have Michelle and many other financial advisors that help clients along with this as their financial advisor. So self-directed, but many of those self-directed accounts do work with financial advisors.
Yeah, it kind of means more like participant directed, that you can invest in things and the way that I like to describe it is when you're at like Schwab and Fidelity, you're at all of these, have these publicly traded companies and the bonds, and there are things that have really been vetted. They have been reviewed by the SEC. They've gone through tons and tons of reporting and things like that to be on the public markets. Whereas some of the things that we hold in these self-directed accounts, they do go through a process of licensing and having their paperwork, but they're not reviewed in the same way to be distributed to the public in the retail realm, is kind of what I describe it.
Yeah, so a lot of those are for accredited investors only. So somebody that's sophisticated with their investments. But, you're going to see a lot of other ones that any investor level can get into. But that's kind of where they aren't had gone through as much due diligence to be on those platforms because they assume that the investor themselves has done their due diligence.
Right, exactly. And then you guys, I do want to do a little clarification too, that when we say custodian, they're really reporting the value of the investment. So that's what a custodian does, is that basically, you have your stuff there, but they are making statements and reporting things, because if you have an IRA, then you do have to obviously report that to the government. And so you have to have some sort of, person keeping track of the transactions and the fees and all of that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The IRS requires a custodian on IRA accounts, and the custodian's role in that is really to do the tax reporting, to do the safekeeping of the investments, make sure that, they do exist, whether we hold it in certificate form or it's on somebody's book somewhere. Report market values to the IRS, report RMDs to the clients. If you get into that point where you're required to take a distribution, that's an RMD. So that is our role. The IRS allows banks and some other non-banks, if they apply, to be custodians of this type of thing.
Yeah. Oh, and CNB stands for Community National Bank, everybody.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. We are actually a national bank with regular bank branches, but all in Kansas. And then our custody division, that's all we do. We work nationwide doing this alternative asset custody.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then let's go over what some of the alternative assets that you guys might hold that would be different than having it at Schwab or Fidelity.
Yeah, so definitely one thing that we'll do that Schwab and Fidelity wouldn't even touch is direct real estate, whether that is a piece of farm property, a vacant lot, a rental home, an apartment, where your IRA owns that property. The property is registered to your IRA, and then any income that you're getting on that property goes into your IRA. Any payments come out of your IRA. That is for basically investment purposes only. You can't do that and then live in that house. So if you have an investment property, we do that. And we do quite a bit of that. We allow precious metals, which is something that those wirehouses and clearing firms aren't going to do. We don't store the precious metals here because we don't have the space or security for all of those metals that we handle. So we use a depository. They hold the metals, but we do all the reporting on them. And then what we consider alternative investments, which is just something that's not traded on the stock market. We do a lot of LLCs and LPs, and then a lot of what's called a real estate industry trust, and a REIT. Those are large companies. They can be, close to $1 billion offerings, but they're not traded on the stock market. And it's a company that they'll usually specialize in. We buy senior living houses. We buy student living. We buy shopping malls, which isn't so much anymore. Hospitals.
The last one I was at, there was a lot of wine and car washes.
Yeah.
This all kinds of businesses.
Storage.
Basically.
A lot of storage units.
There's a lot of self-storage right now. A lot of credit, like where there's like hard money lending funds. There's all kinds of things that you can get into, and basically they're just not listed on the public market. You're investing in these private companies, and they go around and they try to raise money, and then the investors invest in them.
Yeah, we have people that do, livestock. That there's a lot of rules and regulations when you get into stuff like that. So a lot to ask, but it's possible. Now, saying that, just because we're self-directed and we allow this huge investment portfolio doesn't mean we can do everything. The IRS does limit you. They will not allow collectibles in IRAs. And for some reason, in the collectibles, with everything you can collect, they mention rugs specifically. Why? I don't know. But if you wanted to buy some rugs with IRA funds, you cannot do that.
Right. Okay.
I'm sure they're talking about, a antique special, rug, but they pull that one out especially. So collectibles, life insurance is another one that you cannot put in an IRA. So otherwise, they are pretty open to different things.
Mm-hmm. And you guys are really well known. I mean, every conference I go to, who do you guys, I talk to people, who do you use? It's, they use CNB. So you guys are really, really well known in the industry as someone to go for, or people that are trying to sell to me to put, their investment on my platform. Then I ask, are you signed up with CNB? And they're like, oh, it's easy to get signed up with you. Right.
Right.
I think from these companies' standpoints, because I'm not saying, we're not saying that Schwab and Fidelity won't hold some of these, because there are some of these investments that they will hold. It's just that they charge a lot more than what CNB does. And so do you know why? Is that because you guys specialize in it? Is that
It
why?
is because we specialize in it. You know, I was on a panel once with somebody from Schwab at an industry conference, and we were talking about holding alternative investments on our different platforms. And the representative from Schwab just said, "We don't want to do it. We
Mhm.
will do it, but we don't want to do it. We're going to make it hard. We're going to make it expensive, and it's not going to, and it's going to be difficult. And that's
That's
because
exactly,
we
what they
don't
told
want to do it."
me. Yeah, that's what they
So,
told me when I was onboarding with them, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Which
yeah,
makes sense because the money is not there with them. You know,
right. Well,
it's
it's
just it's at the investment. You know, you're just reporting on the value of the investment from that company.
right. And it's a very paper based industry when you think about it. You're filling out subscription documents, even if you're doing it electronically, you're signing forms to do these kind of investments. And with Schwab, Fidelity, they are so used to publicly traded things where they just go in and push a button and
Mm.
there's no signatures anywhere. It's just such a different process than they're used to. It goes against their systems a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, it
Where
really does. It's not a streamlined system. And I think that brings up too. So let's talk about the difference between the investments because so many people, when I get them into alternatives, they are used to being able to log into their account and see a graph. You know, a daily
right.
graph of what their account looks like and I lost 20% or I did, 10%. And this kind of reporting is just so much slower. I mean, it is maybe once a year. Is that what you require them to report on the value is once a year?
So we do and the IRS says that they need to give us a value at least once a year.
Mhm.
So every December, if we don't have a new value for that year, we'll go out and ask for it. We may or may not get it. So sometimes it's, a year and a half because something happened and they didn't get it valued. So you're right. There isn't always a graph. There's usually not because a lot of them they'll pay dividends. Some of them will pay dividends. So you have income coming in, but you don't know if that value of the investment has changed because there's not that public market for it where people are buying and selling and somebody's saying I'll offer you this much for this investment. It's that company has to go out and value it somehow. Um, and they do it in a whole variety of ways that they will come up with a value, but they're not going to do that every day.
Right. And they're
We
not
see
even going to do it every 6 months, and I think
no,
it's
no,
like you're looking at the statement, it says, okay, it's still worth, $50,000. Well, it's been worth that forever. I'm like, well, yes, because they only update their value when they're going to go and do like an appraisal on
right.
the different real estate products that they have. So it's just, you have to really think of it that you are investing in a business and you're waiting for that business and these people to report back to you, the custodian, of what that value is that they hold for that particular
Exactly.
investor.
Exactly. And the same way, if you wanted to own a piece of real estate in your IRA, we're gonna, in that case, ask you for the value because you are the owner of that piece of real estate. Well, we're not gonna ask you to go out and have somebody appraise that value every month so we can update it. That would be ridiculous. We actually are only gonna ask for you to get it appraised if there's a taxable event, if you're taking it out of the IRA or the first time you get into a required minimum distribution status and we need it. And between that time, the time you buy it and something taxable comes up, we'll say, hey, what's your best guess based on property values in your area?
Do you have a lot of people that buy like actual real estate in their IRAs?
We do. It's a newer service for us. We've done IRA custody of alternative investments for 40 years now. And for a long time, we stayed away from that direct real estate thing. But in about I think maybe 5 years about we've been allowing it, and we have been seeing quite a bit.
Really?
Um,
I
yeah,
just think there's like that to me is like such a headache. Like I just think that I just can't even imagine the paperwork. I mean, just with title and everything, and then having to make sure that there's enough money in there to maintain
yeah.
property and all that. It just sounds like such a headache that I don't know that I would ever do it.
The paperwork and title side's not that bad because you're just going through it once. It is, though, you need to keep that IRA funded because they're going to have property taxes due on the house everything has to be paid out of that IRA. So
Yeah.
you have to keep it funded. You've got that headache. And then there's prohibited transactions. You got to be real careful with it. You can't live in it. You can't mow the lawn there. It has to be completely hands off everything that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I just say, I'm like, if you want to learn about it, that's fine. But normally my advice is don't buy a house in an IRA. But I just like to keep things simple. That's me. I'm not everybody.
Yeah. It works well for people that are like flipping houses and stuff. Or going through a lot of houses, they're not paying capital gains that way. They're buying and selling a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly, when people call to talk to me about it, I talk more people out of it than into it.
That's what I do. That's exactly what I do.
And we want people to do it because that's the service we offer. But I'm like, they're like, we want to buy a house and we're going to do this. I'm like, nope, you can't do that. Well, then what if we do it this way? Nope, you can't do that.
I know that's the thing. Once you talk to them about it and about the actual logistics of it, it's like, okay, maybe this isn't worth it. Cause it is, it's just like a huge headache. And that's, to me, that's not worth it. I just like to keep things simple. So, okay. So let's kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about like the actual, I think this is what people get confused about, is the actual way to roll things over, like the logistics, because everybody's used to having their brokerage account. And then they're like, well, I have this IRA or I have this just regular brokerage account with, stocks and bonds in it. How do I actually then invest in the alternative investment and get set up? So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's really a much simpler process than it sounds like. Everybody thinks, oh, I have to establish this self-directed IRA.
Exactly. It's no the same thing. Yeah, it's no different than your other brokerage account.
It is the exact same thing. So we're going to have you fill out our IRA application, which honestly, it looks huge, but it's all disclosures. There's like 3 pieces of paper that you actually put information on. And it's the same information that you're going to use to set up an account anywhere else. So you fill out our application. And if you're bringing it from an IRA over to us, an IRA transfer form, we do all the work of going out to your current IRA, whether it's at Schwab, Fidelity, wherever it is, and say, hey, send us this cash. This client requested this cash. They send it to us. It's here. And then we're ready to make the purchase. And you tell us what it is that you're wanting to purchase, and we send the funds to that company. They title it in our name for your benefit, and it's held here. That process works the same way, whether it's an IRA or if it's an individual trust joint account. Except on those individual trust joint accounts, you might not be transferring money. You might just say, I've got $20,000 in my savings account that I'm going to deposit into this to open it up.
Right. And you might just deposit it that way rather than having to transfer it from the brokerage. Yeah. And I do want to bring up too, that with self-directed accounts, it's not as easy. People are really, they're like, hey, could you transfer $1,000 from this account into my bank account? And I'm like, it's not as easy as what, cause we can link and we can, on your regular brokerages accounts, you can link your bank and you can have money transferred on a monthly basis. And, you can do some of that. So you want to talk about just some of the limited, but then some of the things that are the same.
Yeah. So that is one thing, we are what I consider a good mid-sized custodian nationwide business, 40,000 accounts, 4 billion in assets under custody, but we're not Schwab or Fidelity to have all of the technology available to just go in and push a button and say, move money from CNB to Fidelity. There are ways that we try to make.
That would take new licensing for you guys too.
It would.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
There are ways we try to make it as easy as possible, but you're normally going to have to contact us and say, hey, I want this money moved. And sometimes, depending on how your account's set up, we can do it. We can move the money because you've signed off on something. Other times we're going to say, great, we can move it. We're going to need a form. But another good thing about working with us is when we need stuff like that, or you need to do something, we are very easy to get a hold of.
Yeah, you guys are easy. Yeah.
You're going to make a phone call and somebody's going to answer the phone. You're not going through a press 1, press 2. So you get a little bit more customer service here. So even though a transaction might not be as easy, a little bit more difficult. We're going to do everything we can to make it as easy for you as we can.
Yeah, no, you do. I'm just saying, just in general, self-directed
Oh,
accounts,
yeah.
they're just harder. It's just not as all electronically linked with ACH and wire transfers and all of that, like
Right.
that you're used to with like your online, money market account or something. It just is a little bit more cumbersome, I guess, or slower, or maybe how it
Absolutely.
was more in the 80s.
Maybe 90s. Let's
Maybe
not go all
90s,
the-
whatever. So it's just more like that. And I think if you're just, you just know that these alternative assets are just slower in general. They're slower to report. They're slower to realize a gain. They're slow, all of that kind of stuff. It's just that you're investing in the things that are out in the world. And so it's really different. You're not just doing this electronic thing that lives, on the computer.
Yeah. And you're investing in these things for the long term. I mean, most of these are, a 5 to 7 year hold at least. There's different kinds. So you're going to see different links in there. And so the way we look at it is you're going to open the account, get the money in here, you're going to make the investment. You're probably not going to have a lot of activity in our account after that anyway.
Right.
It may be paying dividends, so there might be money coming in. And it's not that we can't ACH or wire. If there's dividends coming in, we can set it up to automatically send that dividend straight out to you. But to get it from here to this time, I want it to go to Schwab, and next time I want it to
Right. I want it to go to my bank
bit more.
account. Yeah, that's where it gets, people aren't used to just, having to sign more forms. So,
Right.
yeah. And I'm not saying it as a downside. I just want people to be aware.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that you want to be aware of. And you're right. Alternative investments, everything is just a slower process. Sometimes some of the investments will only allow purchases in on the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month. So, we'll get the money, we'll send it to them. They'll usually hold it in an escrow account before they put it in. But then we have people calling, where's this value? Why isn't it invested? I'm like, because they only purchase on these days. So yeah, everything is just a little slower.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just because it's different. I mean, because it's actual people going out and deploying it in the world to go do stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you think I feel like we've covered a lot of just the basics of self-directed. Is there anything else that you want people to know about self-directed accounts?
I do think that we've covered mostly everything. Definitely, if you have questions, give Michelle or I a call. Michelle can get you in contact with us. I'm sure it's, if we make it sound complicated, it's really not as bad as it seems.
It's really not that bad. Yeah.
But it is for a certain type of investor, and always an interesting way to get your money out in the marketplace in a different way that's maybe not as tied to the public markets, which sometimes is a great thing. And sometimes you think, man, I wish my money was in those public markets right now.
I know. Yeah. It's not always, and that's the thing. We should just warn that there are deals that go south and you are investing with these, sometimes just like two people that want to go build an RV park, and you have to make sure that you can trust those two people and that they're not going to like run off to Bermuda or something. So, you got to do your own due diligence. So, thank you so much for being on, Michelle. I appreciate you taking the time to be on here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you had me.
Well, and guys, if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out. And I do offer like free 15-minute calls if you just want to talk about it or if it's a possibility for you. And I can connect you with CNB, and I can't speak highly enough of them. I wouldn't have them on here if I didn't love them. I tell everybody all the time too at conferences and things that how much I enjoy you guys. So thanks again for being on, and thanks for listening, everybody. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you for listening to the Unconventional Investor Podcast. I hope you feel more confident in how you can grow your wealth using the strategies I shared in this episode. If you're ready to take the next step in diversifying your portfolio outside the stock market with alternative investments, head to mefinancial.net/contact us to book a 15-minute consult call with me. Let's discuss how we can work together to achieve your financial goals. Until then, I'll see you on the next episode.